Overlooking the Hudson River is an artist's estate unlike any other. This is Olana, where the ground was moved and the bricks were placed in the gracious manner in which a painter moves his brush along canvas. Hi everyone, Ken here. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. This video is brought to you in part by Victorian Society in America. More on them later. In 1826, Frederic Edwin Church was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He showed artistic promise early on and had the good fortune of a supportive, affluent family. His father was a successful jeweler and banker, which meant young Frederic could pursue art without financial worry. At 18, he became the pupil of Thomas Cole, the leading figure of the Hudson River School of Landscape Painting. Cole immediately recognized Church's talent, once remarking the young man had the finest eye for drawing in the world, and by the time Church was 20, his skills and ambition were evident to all. In 1848, he was elected as the youngest associate of the prestigious National Academy of Design. Such early accolades signaled that a remarkable career was beginning. In his 20s, Church set out to paint the grandest scenes nature could offer. He was part of the second generation of the Hudson River School, artists who believed the American landscape itself was a divine and epic subject. Like others in that movement, Church started by painting the mountains and rivers of the Northeast, the Catskills, New England hills, and of course, the mighty Hudson. But he soon craved more dramatic, high-definition spectacles of nature. He sought marvels such as volcanoes, icebergs, and tropical jungles, inspired in part by the writings of German naturalist Alexander von Humboldt. In the 1850s, Church ventured far beyond the familiar American scenery. He made arduous expeditions to South America, traveling in 1853 and again in 1857 through Colombia, Ecuador, and the Andes, sketching on site amid steamy jungles and towering volcanoes. Church returned with troves of sketches capturing everything from lush tropical forests to snow-capped peaks. With scientific zeal, he observed details of exotic flora, fauna, geology, and atmosphere, determined to blend them into paintings back home. In 1857, he unveiled Niagara, a monumental painting of Niagara Falls viewed head-on in all its thundering glory. The canvas was over 7 feet long, and its hyper-realistic detail and luminous mist dazzled viewers. 2 years later, he surpassed even this triumph with The Heart of the Andes, a 5-foot-high, 10-foot-wide panorama combining various South American landscapes into one idealized vista. When The Heart of the Andes went on display in New York, it caused a sensation. Thousands of people paid admission to gaze at it in a darkened room specifically arranged by Church, the huge painting framed like a window and illuminated by a skylight. Church sold The Heart of the Andes for $10,000, at that time the highest price ever paid for a work by a living American artist. In 1861, as the Civil War broke out, Church painted Our Banner in the Sky, a small yet poignant image of a twilight sky forming the pattern of the Union flag. It captured the patriotic mood and was reproduced as a popular print to support Union troops' families. He was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences in 1863, further cementing his status among the nation's cultural elite. During this time, Church also befriended explorers and scientists. For example, he accompanied explorer Dr. Isaac Hayes on an expedition which led to his eerie 1861 painting, The Icebergs. In short, by the early 1860s, Frederic Church had reached the pinnacle of success. He was a nationally celebrated painter whose works capture the spirit of American ambition and the awe of the natural world. Church's grand success as a painter was incredibly lucrative, and it enabled him to paint his dreams not on a canvas with brushes, but on a hillside with brick. In 1860, he purchased a 126-acre farm on a hillside overlooking the Hudson River in upstate New York. The site was near the town of Hudson, not far from the Catskill Mountains that had inspired his mentor Thomas Cole. Church was newly engaged to Isabel Carnes, and his property was to be their home. At first, they lived modestly on the estate. Church built a quaint cottage on the slope, a cozy cottage designed with the help of architect and friend Richard Morris Hunt. Then he set about improving the grounds. He platted orchards and gardens, carved walking paths, and even dredged a marshy area to create a picturesque 10-acre lake on the property. The couple fondly called the place the farm, and for a time, Frederic and Isabel enjoyed an idyllic country life there. Tragedy struck the young family in March of 1865 when both of Church's children became ill and passed away within a week of each other. The couple left the property for several years, but eventually started a new family. In 1867, Church acquired an additional parcel of land, the wooded summit of the hill that he had long coveted for its commanding outlook. But what style of house should crown this ideal location? Later in that same year, Frederick and Isabel embarked on an 18-month grand tour of Europe and the Middle East. This voyage exposed Church to the art and architecture of old Europe, but more importantly, it ignited his fascination with the exotic architecture of the Middle East. The churches spent extended time in Beirut, Jerusalem, Damascus, and even Petra, traveling by camel to sketch the ancient rock-carved treasury of Petra in Jordan. By the time he returned home in 1869, Church's imagination was brimming with visions of Persian domes and Moorish motifs. He now envisioned a dwelling that would marry Victorian comfort with the romantic allure of the old world, essentially a house as artful and eclectic as the sights he'd seen abroad. Church teamed up with architect Calvert Vaux to translate his vision into reality. From 1870 to 1872, they worked hand in hand to design and construct the mansion that Church would later name Olana. Though Vaux was the professional architect, Frederick Church was the driving creative force, essentially his own architect. He drafted numerous sketches and blueprints himself, obsessing over details large and small. The resulting structure was highly personal and unlike any other in America at the time. From the exterior, Olana astonishes with its exuberant eclecticism. It is a large, asymmetrical villa of stone and brick with irregular towers and wings that give it a picturesque silhouette against the sky. Rather than a formal balanced facade, the house is a dynamic, L-shaped layout almost like a cluster of structures organically joined. This asymmetry was intentional, creating an ever-changing profile as one walks around it. The walls are richly embellished in a palette of earth tones and jewel tones. Church had the brickwork and wood cornices elaborately stenciled and painted in many colors and gilding, using patterns he devised from motifs he saw in Beirut and Damascus. There are arabesque patterns and border designs painted onto the exterior cornices and under the eaves, effectively turning the outside of the house into a gigantic canvas for ornamental art. The windows themselves are variously shaped, some tall and arched like mosque windows, others with intricately carved wooden screens, and placed to frame specific views of the landscape from inside. One corner of the house features a charming, open arcaded porch with pointed arches that would be at home in an Islamic palace. It's as if Church composed the house the way he composed his landscapes, balancing disparate elements into a unified scene that evokes wonder. Before we head inside, a quick word about the sponsor of today's video, Victorian Society in America. Are you captivated by historic architecture? Want to explore, learn, and dive even deeper into the past? With the Victorian Society in America, you'll have the chance to travel to American cities and tour stunning 19th century buildings, pursue learning through internationally acclaimed summer programs in American cities and abroad, including Chicago, Newport, and London to name a few. Additionally, members will enjoy a free subscription to 19th Century, the semi-annual publication packed with articles on art, architecture, preservation awards, and book reviews. Visit the website below in the video description and become part of the Victorian Society in America today. Thank you, Victorian Society in America, for sponsoring today's video. Now back to our tour. Inside, Olana continued to reflect Frederick Church's artistic flair and global inspirations. The interiors were exotically furnished and curated by Church and his wife. Visitors entering the home in Church's day would find themselves surrounded by treasures from around the world. The rooms are filled with Middle Eastern carpets and textiles, intricate carved wooden furniture, and decorative objects that the Churches collected during their travels, from Syrian metal lamps to Persian ceramics and even costumes from the Holy Land. On the walls hang original paintings by Church himself. He made sure to keep some of his favorite works for his home gallery, as well as works by his friends and mentors. There are also paintings by Thomas Cole and fellow Hudson River School artists like Sanford Gifford and Martin Heed adorning the rooms. Every surface in the interior received artistic attention. Church even designed intricate stencils to decorate the ceilings, walls, and cornices inside, mirroring the Moorish patterns outside. Crucially, Olana is more than just the mansion, it's the entire environment that Frederick Church crafted on his estate. As a landscape painter, Church thought about the grounds as an extension of the yard. Over 40 years, he sculpted the 250-acre landscape of Olana like a living painting. He laid out about 5 miles of carriage roads that wound strategically through the property. These roads were engineered not for efficiency, but for experience. They led visitors on a meandering journey with carefully composed vistas at every turn. Church concealed and revealed views using stands of trees or bends in the road so that one moment you might be in a shady wooded lane and the next you emerge to a breathtaking panorama of the Hudson River or distant Catskill Peaks. The same approach is said to have guided the design of the house itself. In 1872, the Church family moved into their newly finished hilltop mansion, though Frederic would continue fine-tuning Olana's house and grounds for the rest of his life. By the 1880s, Olana truly was the embodiment of Frederic Church's aesthetic ideals, a seamless blend of art, architecture, and landscape. It was, in effect, a three-dimensional canvas where he could live inside his own art, but as the estate flourished, the man behind it began to slow down. Years of painting outdoors in tough conditions may have taken a toll. By 1876, in his early 50s, Church was suffering from rheumatoid arthritis in his right arm and hand. The condition worsened to the point that it significantly hampered his ability to paint. Ever determined, Church taught himself to paint with his left hand and continued producing art, but the output was much reduced and each stroke came with effort. By around 1877, essentially, this painful rheumatism compelled him to all but abandon large-scale painting. Instead of canvases, Church poured much of his creativity into teaching, mentoring, and into perfecting Olana. Meanwhile, his wife Isabel had long been in fragile health. She passed away in May of 1899, and less than a year later, in April of 1900, Frederic Church's life came to an end at the age of 73. Afterward, Olana remained in the family's hands, lovingly preserved much as the artist left it. Walking into Olana in those early years must have felt like stepping back into Frederic Church's time. Everything remained arranged as it was when the great painter lived there, from the dramatic paintings on the walls to the exotic rugs on the floors. The family understood that Olana was a special legacy. This private preservation continued for over 6 decades. By the early 1960s, however, circumstances threatened to undo Olana's intact survival. No direct heirs were in line to take over Olana, so the estate was left to a relative's care, a nephew, who, facing the cost and complexities of maintaining a sprawling old property, decided to sell it. And not just sell it in any manner. The plan was to auction off the estate to the highest bidder, which likely meant developers would swoop in, subdivide the land, perhaps demolish the buildings, and erase Church's vision forever. Around this time, a renaissance of interest in the Hudson River School was quietly brewing among art historians. In 1945, a landmark exhibit on the Hudson River School had helped reintroduce Church's paintings to the public, and by the 1960s, scholars were reassessing his importance. One art historian in particular, David C. Huntington, became a champion of Frederic Church and Olana. Huntington had studied Church's work in depth, writing his doctoral dissertation on Church in 1960, and had come to see Olana itself as arguably Frederic Church's greatest masterpiece. When news spread that Olana was in danger of being lost, Huntington sprang into action. He rallied support from art lovers, historians, and the public in what became a 2-year anti-development campaign to save the estate. Articles and editorials appeared, and the effort culminated dramatically in 1965 with a cover story in Life magazine about Olana, which brought national attention to the cause. The outcry worked. New York State stepped forward to purchase Olana in 1966, just days before the scheduled auction. The property was thereby rescued from destruction. With that purchase, Olana was reborn as a public treasure. It became the Olana State Historic Site, opening to visitors so that anyone could tour Church's exotic home and wonder his design landscape. Today, Olana stands as one of the most complete and intact artist home studios in the United States. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. What did you think about Olana? Let me know down below in the comments section. I'd also like to say a very special thank you to Victorian Society in America for sponsoring this video. Check out their link in the video description to find out how you can get involved today. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time on This House.